evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. I am Heena Gambhir. India has more than 10.07 crore crypto owners. India's monetary policy guardian, RBI, took note of cryptos for the first time way back in 2013. And still, such is the obscurity on the status of cryptos that no owner really knows whether is he or she walking on the right or the wrong side of the law. Worse, the situation gets back to worse as there is virtually no law. So, is millions of dollars worth crypto legal in India or not? The central bank has been working on crypto regulatory framework since 2019 and is yet to introduce a bill. In Budget 2022, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman proposed a 30% tax on earnings from cryptocurrencies and non-fungible tokens. Reserve Bank of India has been quite vocal about its opposition to private cryptocurrencies in India. The RBI had even restricted banks and financial institutions from providing access to banking services to those engaged in transactions in crypto assets. But this was struck down by the Supreme Court in 2020. So, did cryptos turn legit then? The answer is shrouded in legalese and mystery. There is no yes or no available. Today, Supreme Court, which had set aside the restrictions by the RBI in 2020, asked the centre to clarify whether cryptos are legal or illegal in India. The government has so far been avoiding a clear no, because if they were illegal, how can the government tax the moolah it is going to make from the new tax slab on cryptos? In fact, just yesterday, the advertising watchdog, the Advertising Standards Council of India, introduced guidelines for advertising and marketing of crypto assets. It said crypto advertisers can't use words like currency, securities, custodian, and depositors. So the commandments indicate it isn't illegal for sure. The question here is, will the Prime Minister Modi government finally take a stand on cryptos in India? Give it in black or white. The Supreme Court today was hearing a matter related to Gain Bitcoin scam worth 20,000 crore rupees and made this oral observation. Does it mean soon centre will end the suspense on crypto? That's going to be our debate on Urban Debate this evening. Joining us on the broadcast right now is Dr Aruna Sharma, digitisation expert. We have with us Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, former Finance Secretary of India. Kashif Raza, founder, Bitnning, is with us. Virag Gupta, who is advocate, Supreme Court and cyber expert. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate. We are back to discuss the issue of cryptocurrencies in India. Mr. Garg, I want to begin the discussion with you. Is crypto legal or illegal in India? This is what the Supreme Court has asked.
So, see, the cryptos today, the crypto assets and the crypto businesses are legal in the country. There is no law which says that they are illegal. They are prohibited, or they are even regulated or banned. The RBI tried to sort of regulate or deny the use of the banking system to the crypto assets, which was struck down by the Supreme Court. Crypto businesses are a business for which there is a fundamental right to do business under the fundamental rights in the Constitution of India. So let us take it that until the government speaks out, comes up with some law to sort of ban or restrict use of it, it is legitimate. The only thing there is a complete gray area is the use of crypto as currencies. The currencies you cannot use in the country anything other than what is declared as the legal tender by the Reserve Bank and the government. Cryptos are not legal tender, and therefore their use as currencies is or can be considered as prohibited. By the way, today the cryptos are not being used as currencies most of the times. It is being used in the businesses and as assets. And therefore, in my judgment, the crypto businesses assets in the country are legitimate.
Okay, so crypto businesses are legitimate in your view, Mr. Garg. Dr. Aruna Sharma, even the top court has asked this question today because of the confusion that many crypto investors in the country have, especially because of the statements that we've got from Reserve Bank of India.
See, let me put it this way. At this moment of time, there is no regulation or law on crypto. And the perspective of the RBI has been put on record on their serious reservations about crypto. One thing has come out very clear, as Mr. Garg said, that the legal tender will be what the RBI will bring out as a digital currency, said in the normal parlance. And that amendment will come, and they will come with a digital currency, which is entirely different kind of product than what crypto is. So these are two different products. These are two watertight, different jackets it will figure into. Now, the advertisement thing that has come up is a continuation of what has been debated before, even by us, that it has to be an informed decision, correctly informed decision of the investors. So in the advertisement, what they have said about the advertisement standard of India, and which applies to all kinds of advertisement, even the soap or any kind of advertisement, that you should not make tall claims, you should not make false claims. You should be talking about and informing as much as possible so that the user or the buyer have an informed decision. So that has what has been brought about by the advertisement standards using the word as a disclaimer. But more than disclaimer, it is very, very important.
But what will you say, ma'am, about what the Supreme Court has said today?
Yes, and what Supreme Court has said is to hurry the process so that so that this ambiguity becomes as clear as possible, where government is treading step by step into it. The Supreme Court is trying to push them to come up with the regulation as early as possible. But then government needs more convincing, and government is watching what is happening at the global front.
Okay. Kashif Raza, as somebody who understands crypto investment, and you are in touch with crypto investors as well, can you tell us, when you hear these kind of statements, what is it that the industry is feeling about what is happening with crypto market in the country? Is there confidence that with the kind of statements we're getting from the government side specifically, maybe some sort of clarity will come out soon, or do you think there are still concerns?
So Heena, first of all, thank you for inviting me. So the crypto industry has evolved over the period of time. There was a time in 2017-18 when Mr. S.C. Garg report was there, and there was a huge panic in the market, and there were many exchanges post 2018. When RBI came up with a ban on the crypto. I mean, there was a time when a lot of exchanges have actually closed down in 2018 as well. So I think crypto exchanges and the industries have evolved over a period of time. Investors are hopeful, and the industry is hopeful that with the finance minister coming up with a speech on crypto taxation in the parliament, and also the latest guidelines on the advertisement, is kind of giving a hope to the industry and to the investor that government might come up with a proper guidelines or a positive regulation around crypto.
So government statements are giving you hope, but then RBI has also been making some statements, and it has been quite vocal on the issue of private crypto currencies. The government clearly is yet to come out with that important bill to bring us clarity. But is there confusion at the same time, Kashif, as far as the industry is concerned?
Heena, it's not new that there has been disagreements between the central bank and the governments all around the world. In Russia, there was a disagreement. In US also, there is a disagreement between SEC, CFTC, and senators. So these differences have already been prevailing all around the world. Central bank wants something else, and the government is thinking about it in a different way. There is definitely a confusion. There is definitely no doubt about it. But the people in the industry and when you talk to people in the industry, they are quite hopeful that all the issues of the central bank will get addressed by, and because the regulator is not in a position to ban this industry. The only way to ban this industry is through the parliament, and I'm sure that the kind of things that recently the government have come up in the recent past, after the recent statements, the people in the industry are quite hopeful that government might bring up with something positive regulation around it.
Okay, so the industry is hopeful because the steps are indicating towards a sort of regulatory framework for cryptos in India. Virag Gupta, what is your assessment of what the Supreme Court observed today?
I was not able to listen Dr. Sharma, but what Mr. Garg and Kashif said. So both have said that it's in the hung zone.
On Supreme Court's observation, Virag Gupta, let me tell you, Dr. Sharma had to say that maybe, in her opinion, the Supreme Court wants Centre to now expedite the process, and that's why the Supreme Court asked Centre to clarify, bring clarity on its stand on crypto. This is what she had.
Am I audible? Are you able to get my voice?
Yes, go ahead.
So what Mr. Garg has said, that this is not prohibited, but I will say that this is not legal also. And Supreme Court was hearing a scam matter, and that was nothing to do with the legality of Bitcoin, but that was an observation and government has to reply. Now, if you ask me whether it is legal or illegal, my answer is it is illegal. Why it is illegal? Because Mr. Kashif has said that there is a hope after taxation of 30%. Now, if taxation of 30% makes it legal, so earlier also, for last many years, investors are filing the income tax return. They were paying taxes. So paying taxes does not make it legal. It is like somebody is paying house tax. It is like somebody mutation is there, but it does not give right on the house. For getting right on the house, one needs a specific registration. Now, these crypto exchanges, because they are self-regulated, they are not governed by the government. They are having the Swayambhu system, and that Swayambhu system does not come within the purview of Indian law. So there are two aspects. One is assets and other is currency. So to treat them as currency, they need recognition. For that, government will have to change the Coinage Act as well as the RBI Act to treat them as an asset. So let us read the statements made by the finance minister, finance secretary, RBI governor, when they are saying this has nothing but the tulip. There is no value. So when an asset has no value, how can it be a legal? So if it is a hung state, so for hung state, you can treat it, it is not prohibited, but it is not legal also to give them legal status like gold or money or anything. It is legal, it is illegal. You have smuggled gold, it is illegal. You have black money, it is illegal money. In the same manner, if you have the crypto and which has not been, because in the later stage, I feel that government will have some sort of mechanism by which RBI will be regulator. And if RBI notifies that certain class of assets will be notified in India, then only those will be legal. But presently they are not legal, and crypto exchanges are not within the legal framework of India.
Okay. Mr. Garg, will you like to respond?
See, I think there is a general confusion that the goods and services and assets are required to be covered by some law or to be regulated to be considered as legal. That's not the case. Most of the goods, services and assets are traded, exchanged without any law being there. And therefore, a law is not necessary for something to be legal. Every goods and services presumed to be legal unless it is otherwise declared. And today, there is no law which declares crypto assets and the businesses as illegitimate. And therefore, I am of very clear view that none of these are illegal in the country. What is being done, that the system was not recognizing, the tax system was not recognizing this as a specific activity or as a specific asset, which the finance minister has now done in the recent amendment. The forms, etc., now prescribe the returns to be given in respect of the crypto assets and all. And it has also been clarified that this would be taxed at this particular rate. Like we have different rates of taxation on different assets for capital gains. For this, a specific rate has been specified. So that has brought good clarity. The Advertisement Council's decision yesterday also perfectly tells you that it's a legitimate business, like any gaming or other businesses which are allowed today. But you have to make things very clear that there are risks. These things are not to be confused with currency, banking, etc. So it's a fair regulation for sort of advertisement of a legitimate business. So I don't think there is any confusion. The only gray area,
But Mr. Garg,
as I said earlier, is the currency.
you may say there is no confusion, but the top court of the country is now seeking clarity because of the statements, I believe, that are coming, a set of statements coming from Ministry of Finance, a set of statements coming from the Reserve Bank of India. Virag Gupta, in fact, has a point to make. Yes, Mr. Gupta.
Supreme Court hearing the matter in the scam matter, and in that matter, Enforcement Directorate and Police have registered the case under IPC, IT Act and Money Circulation Act, which covers the chit fund. Now, they have treated it as a chit fund. So Money Control Act is there. There are many in Indian system. Anytime police can register any case. We can treat it like a ownership by the power of attorney. But if you are buying a big bungalow, so you will certainly need a registration certificate so that tomorrow you can, against that asset, you can get some bank loan. So today, can anybody get loan against this asset? Because after this budget speech, when Mr. Garg is saying that levy of 30% tax make it legal, so that levy will be applicable after this April only. But till now, still government is getting the tax.
But then, Mr. Gupta, the point is, why do we have the advertising watchdog coming out with rules and regulations that, these companies will have to follow from 1st of April?
No, let us
what is it all really pointing towards?
Let us understand there are 4 ministries involved in this whole regulation. One is RBI, regulator, which comes within the Finance Ministry. Second is Revenue Ministry, which is getting income tax. Now, third is Advertisement Council, which is under the Consumer Protection Act, and fourth is IT Ministry, which will regulate these digital assets. So, if one ministry, it is like import and export. In import and export, Finance Ministry imposes a tax, and Commerce Ministry restrict it as per the EXIM policy. So, suppose there is a tax, but in the EXIM policy, if it is restricted or prohibited, even if you can't import it by paying the taxes unless you get the license from the Commerce Ministry. So this is interministerial aspect, and by this Advertisement Council, they are protecting the interest of investors, but it does not give legitimacy to this crypto business.
Even the guidelines by advertising watchdog do not really give any kind of legitimacy. That's the view of Mr. Gupta. Dr. Aruna Sharma also wanted to come in. Yes, Dr. Sharma.
Yes, let me put it very, very clearly that as on date, the crypto is not banned. You can operate upon it, but it has not been come under any policy, right? And taxation has been equated to that of gambling, that is 30%, where they have put it, which comes under the Gambling Act, governed by the state governments. So in the sense, it is completely in the gray area as to where you are putting it. Then you have no clarity. You have talked about the TDS on investments. So taxing is entirely different from legitimacy. That horse race is also taxed, income from the horse race. So these are the things that is still in the gray area. Therefore, there is a strong need to come up with a regulation, and that's exactly what Supreme Court says. That come up with a regulation instead of these bits and pieces where you're talking about a taxation, a high level of taxation, much higher. Then you are talking about a TDS mechanism where how to do the TDS, that entire process needs a lot of clarity. And then most important is the informed decision of the investor. So all this said, so it is very, very important to come up with a clarity in the policy, and that policy will have a regulator which will go into it, and definitely it is not going to be a currency. It will be an asset, a commodity, and that is how it will be regulated. So under this scenario, the clarity is needed. The grey areas are not there, but yes, to one extent I agree that it is not banned. So people can invest, people can operate upon it, people can work upon it. But yes, there is no policy, and under different acts, the different corners are being used. So taxation is looked from a different act, or the percentage is used from a different act.
Okay, Mr. Gupta also wants to respond. I'll come to you in just a bit. But before that, Kashif Raza, 1 second. Kashif Raza, as you just heard from Dr. Sharma and Mr. Garg and what Mr. Gupta had to say earlier, so, you know, one clarity is there that at least it's not banned in India. The government knows that, you know, there is an industry which is flourishing, and that's the reason why it proposed a 30% tax as well from the gains on crypto transactions. But this sword still hangs because someday, going by what the RBI has been recommending, if government feels, then this could actually get banned too.
So, Heena, you know, the word cryptocurrency, the problem is that most people think that the word currency, the currency is the duty of the government. It's nobody, no private individual should actually issue currency. But it's a very myopic view of the entire industry. So since there are so many digital assets and currency is just one part of that. It is not the only part, right? And there are different forms of virtual digital assets. So there are some assets that are used as currency. There are some digital assets that are used as commodity, some as utility, some are used as stable coins, and some are used as, you know, integral part of the next internet that we are saying as Web3. So this entire ecosystem is being built on, you know, these different digital assets. These are very integral part of the next internet that people are seeing. It's the decentralized internet. So the government has to actually think about it not from a perspective of a currency. No, not you know, you'll be surprised that people in India don't want to use it. They have full trust in the INR of the country, the legal tender of the country. They don't want to use it for currency. No, they only want to participate in this global phenomena. They want to invest in these crypto assets as they are investing in equities, right? So it's like investing in Twitter, investing in Facebook, investing in those early days, on those early companies of Amazons. Today, the world is giving an opportunity.
That is the reason we are having this debate as well, Kashif, today, that, you know, this industry is flourishing. And if government also acknowledges it, then why is it not coming out with clarity on what it plans to do with this crypto industry? Don't you think the government should now expedite the process, now with Supreme Court also stepping in?
Government should expedite this process because, you know, Hina, what is happening? That globally, 30 billion US dollar worth of investments have happened in the different, you know, companies that are being built in these digital assets. And India has not even received 1 billion US dollar worth of investment. So we are losing on an opportunity. Most of the crypto startups have already shifted to Dubai and Singapore. And all these techies are moving out of the country where the environment is favorable. So I think Indian government should definitely look into this and should come up with some regulatory clarity, because otherwise RBI will say something else, consumer protection will say something else, taxation will say something else. You need to come up with one single policy on this thing as soon as possible through a legislative process and give a clarity on this issue.
Virag Gupta wanted to come in as well.
There are two aspects. If it is asset, then government will have to impose GST. Now, once GST is there, so they will have to give all the details. When the details are to be given, the anonymous nature of this whole transaction will go away. But that is the main strength. And secondly, as and when any law comes and it is not treated as the currency, because whatsoever it is said as the asset, but as a currency, it is used for the transactions, for the payments, for the terror funding, for the drugs, for the licensing, for the corruption, for the bribery, all other things. Once it is not treated as the currency, so I think the value, presently any common person gets 6% annual return in the FD. But in this crypto, I was sitting with some person three days back. Within a day, he got 30% return. This is nothing but the sattebaji only. When he was talking about the Facebook and Twitter and other things, they were having the promoters, they were having the business plan, they were having the equity, and that credentials can be verified. But this is an asset like the patent. It is an asset like the goodwill, which nobody has seen. But that must be given the legal definition. Without legal definition, they may say that 1.5 crore investors are there in India, or 10 crore investors are there in India. They may be creating like a jhuggi jhopdi, but unless that jhuggi jhopdi gets a license, they get the ownership, they get the registration, so they will not be able to get the home loan, they will not be able to sell their property. So the people are attracted because they are getting the easy return. But easy return or making the taxation payment does not make it legal.
Even the government is attracted to the easy return that people are getting by investing in cryptos. Dr. Aruna Sharma, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. See, Mr. Virag, nobody is saying that it is legal today, right? And that's why the insistence is to have a clear policy so that it is all comprehensive and takes care of it. And it is not a legal tender. It is not going to be a legal tender, but it will be an investing board. It will be a transaction board. It will be on a peer-to-peer lending. It will be an encashment. So, and also maybe, INR gets transferred into some other currency under the dealings or trades that is happening. So FEMA also comes in. So all this needs to be clarified. But in the process, the crypto transaction is happening. So therefore, this whole issue of to expedite. But the government has also rightly said that they are still consulting and seeing the global phenomena as to how it is evolving. So I think the US policy, they are awaiting. Russia has already come up. Singapore has a much stronger policy already in existence. So you have some samples. So that may be a little thing which is delaying it. But yes, delay is causing a confusion. And that confusion can only come up clearly when you have a clarity of policy. So let that be very clear. There is no quarrel on that.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely no quarrel. So don't have it that people are investing, and if money is becoming manifold, it is only sattebaji. It may be a smart investment. I may be a stupid investor where I lose everything, even in mutual funds, right? And I may be a low risk one who puts only FD. Right. So it all depends. So that cannot be a phenomena. But yes, and that's why this advertisement is coming. So one example of 30% gain should not promote investors to put more and more. They must understand somebody has lost 50% also. So therefore, this informed advertisement is something the Advertisement Council is insisting upon.
Okay. In fact, advertisers have to prominently carry a disclaimer for crypto products and non-fungible tokens, mentioning that these products are unregulated and can be highly risky. This is what the advertising watchdog had to say. But Virag Gupta disagrees with Dr. Aruna. Virag Gupta, quickly make your point.
No, I have only 3 points. One, if any hawker has to get the registration in the MCD, why the crypto exchanges are not being registered? That is first point. Secondly, government has obligation to protect the citizens. That's why they are imposing penalty on non-wearing of the seat belt. And if such a huge investment is there, who will protect tomorrow if everything vanished? Who are the persons behind the crypto game? So government must come with the law to protect the thousands, crores of the people against this crypto gang, because this is the constitutional obligation. Mr. Garg has given the detailed report in 2019. Government can bring law for 370 within 48 hours, on the triple tarak within 24 hours. Then why law is not being made on this aspect? I think that the citizens of the country must be protected. That is obligation. And as per the present regime,
Okay.
as per the present statement, it is not
Interesting
illegal.
points have been raised, Mr. Garg. At least twice a report that you came up with has been cited as well. Now, we all know that RBI first took note of cryptos in India way back in 2013. In 2022, we are still trying to find out whether it is legal or illegal in India. What's really causing the delay, in your opinion?
See, I think this moral or ethical debate about whether these have values and these are desirable or not desirable, that's a very legitimate debate which we can have in the social media, social circles and all. That's not the legality issue. And until the government comes up with something, if let us say the government takes that view, which it has taken in the past. I remember in 2017, the government also issued that this is a Ponzi scheme and therefore investors are advised not to get into it. Right? RBI issued it a number of times. RBI came up with the regulations to restrict the payment systems use also. Government can take a view which
That was struck down by the Supreme Court.
That's correct. So that view, that view was not taken by the government. That view was taken by the Reserve Bank. And the Supreme Court did say in that judgment, if you read it carefully, that until the government determines the policy and comes up with a law, till then, the situation which RBI is trying to do was not permissible. So government has sovereign authority to bring a law. And if the government takes a view that this is something which is completely undesirable and should be banned in respect of every use of it, whether it's currency or utilities or assets or the application businesses, decentralized finance and all, the government can do. But I don't think that would be a desirable view to take. We will have to apply our mind to sort of this is not desirable. This is not in the national interest. For example, currency. So ban it as currencies. But the businesses like decentralized finance, the mining, the applications, this is a new internet, as Raza was saying. This is a new technology which is very beneficial in certain respects. You will have to allow the use of that. And I think the reason why the government is not able to come out so far...
Sir, nobody is doubting that. Mr. Garg, the
mind.
question that I want to understand, the question that I'm asking is, you understand how the government really functions. Why is the government taking so much of time? You know, the government started working on the bill, which would have brought some clarity in 2019. It's been 3 years already. We don't know what is the view that the government has. The action of the government or action of the arms of government clearly indicates that maybe we are moving towards regulation. But simultaneously, you have a regulator which continues to, come out with a red flag in hand that this has no underlying, not even a tulip. It has no value at all.
Please, I think, remember, the RBI is not the regulator of assets. RBI is the regulator for only currencies. The assets are, for example, equities and bonds are regulated by the SEBI. Crypto assets are not regulated by anyone because there is no law passed by the government to sort of designate and empower an authority to regulate it. Tomorrow the government can come up with a law and say that these crypto assets would be permitted in this sense and this would be the regulator. So, but until that happens, I think the government has consciously or subconsciously taken a view that this is the business which we don't understand at this moment. This is the business which has so much of international dimensions, etc., that we are probably not in a position to enforce it. And therefore, for the time being, let the things go on as they are. It's not a very happy situation.
But I fail to understand, Kashif Raza, if this is a business that government does not understand, that why is the government really looking to earn money from the gains as far as transactions in this business are concerned? Kashif.
So Heena, first of all, I agree to many points as said by Mr. S.C. Garg. So, what is happening? Let's give it to the country. Let's give it to the government. let's not criticize them, because every single nation on this planet is struggling to form a proper regulation right now. Even the most developed countries are
No,
struggling
we are
to do
not
that.
criticizing the government.
And
We are just
no,
asking
no,
a question
yeah.
because even the Supreme Court has asked today, is crypto illegal in India or not? Even the
Yeah.
Supreme Court wants to know.
So many people in the industry, they are becoming a little anxious about it. Why government is not doing it? As Mr. Gupta is a little, is getting passionate about it, that why government is not doing it. So you see US, even they are not able to do it. You see any developed country, you see Australia, Canada, anybody, you see the most developed nation on this planet, even they are struggling. Why? Because this technology is evolving 24/7 every single second. It started from Bitcoin, then it went to smart contracts, then it went to DeFi, then it went to NFTs, then it went to DAO, then it went to metaverse, just within a span of 12 months. So understand, when this technology is evolving so fast, you won't be able to make a static regulation around a particular thing. Your regulation, for the first time in the history of the world, every single nation has to make a evolving regulation. There cannot be a single static regulation. So what FATF has said, Financial Action Task Force has recommended that you don't have to ban this technology. What you just need to do, you just need to create a transfer rule around it. You just need to make a transfer rule, that you need to figure out, okay, who is sending to whom. That's it. And you create a regulatory framework around it. That's it.
Okay, so that is an important point you've raised. But Dr. Aruna Sharma, I want your view on what Mr. Gupta had also mentioned earlier, that if it will be recognized as an asset tomorrow, then it will attract GST, then that will involve a different kind of a framework?
Absolutely. Like today also the exchanges are paying the GST, and there is a little confusion on the issue as to what percentage to be imposed upon them. So once it follows, once they consider it as a service, or whether they consider it as a good, or whether they consider it as an asset, the GST will fit into that regulation automatically. That is there. And then let us be very clear, okay? All the exchanges today, they are sticking to the KYC. So it is not that nobody knows who is investing. And what needs to be tightened is the AML and other things, which will come as a policy. And I totally agree to what has been saying. This technology is evolving so fast that, and many things are coming. Here, the money does not multiply because there are too many people buying and selling like in a share market. Here, it increases because of the innovations that is happening into it. It is like I put my money in an angel fund, and it as an angel fund, and it succeeds in a startup. Then my money multiplies. So it's something similar ground where you see this 30% increase or 20% increase, what was mentioned before, and that is how it happens. So therefore, it is very important that the policy comes up which allows it to operate. The confusion goes. There is an informed decision through the advertisements, and the taxation is something which is more logical. It is not like some number which is coming up. So it has to be calculated and counted up and move towards it, so that what was being mentioned right at the beginning when you started the discussion, we don't want to miss the 3.0. Of the success which we have missed in 2.0. The India has to be a major player because it is the Indian software writers which are playing the game across the globe. So definitely we want to be a part of it. So Web 3.0 is very important that it sticks to India. Therefore, this urgency is there. And therefore, step by step things are emerging because the whole scenario will take a little time to come up. But then that little time should not be too long. Is something I keep on repeating. I keep on insisting that instead of bit by bit policy, at least a major framework can come up. And it's not fixed in rock. This is one policy which will be a dynamic policy. It should keep on changing as things evolve.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. I think now we'll have to wait and see what the government has to say, because now the apex court, the Supreme Court of the country, has asked the government to clarify as far as its stand on cryptos in India is concerned. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate this evening.